All right, how's our poll looking? Oh, hybrid instruction's good. I like that. Enter other. We got 36 people now. Still people coming in. Awesome. All right, how's our poll looking, Gloria?
I just put show everyone the results.
Okay.
And they see it. I'm not sure where they see it. Do they see it under the?
It looks like I'd have to vote myself, so I'm gonna put a 4 because this is new to me too. There we go. Now I can see it all. Yeah. So it looks like most people are in the middle. We do have some people. We have about 5 people ready to rock. We got a few in the lower part, and that's totally fine. This is new to all of us, so I'm impressed that we have 5 people that are like, I'm ready to help. I can help everybody. Let's go. That's awesome. So if you have insight as we go, please enter it in the chat, or we can talk during our Q&A. I am going to hand this over to Yo to get us started on the next part.
Yeah, thanks everyone for having us. And like Jen described, the results just I clicked 3, somewhat ready as well. So I'm one of those 10 people voted for that section. Good news is we got this because we have had a chance to get used to remote teaching, and now through another rock here, try this. Hybrid models. That's what but I think we have experience teaching remotely, and now we're going to hybrid. I think the results shows that our readiness as well. And
keep in mind, oh, sorry to interrupt you. Keep in mind that, Yo and I, we've done a lot of research in the last week, but we've never had been in the classroom with a hybrid situation. So this is new for us as well. So we're going to share what we've learned and what our teams have learned, but keep in mind this is new for us as well. We're going to do the best we can to help you out.
Thank you. So with that, the next item we have is first let's spend some time and think about what kind of hybrid model the teacher that we are. So in the link, please go ahead, click hybrid model menu, or I also put the link in the chat as well. And link Jen's gonna show the screen of the hybrid model menu, please.
Would you like to present this part so you can move around if necessary?
Oh, that's okay. You can show it since you're driving the bus here. Okay.
Okay.
By the way, if your screen's kind of like orangey, that's not your glasses. I was wiping off my glasses, but it's really
Sorry.
Jen's screen for.
There we go. How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
Forget about it.
Thank you.
It helps my eyeballs.
Did I lose my eyesight? Many things losing recently. So here, go ahead. Click on the hybrid model menu. Jen, please.
Yep, it's loading.
And the very first top, you have 6 different models. This is really helpful. By the way, this came from North High. Jonathan Green and Jen Gaston have spearheaded this forum, and I thought it was really a good place to start. So there are 6 models out there, and maybe you could add another model. I don't know, but I think most of us fit in one of these categories. I'm going to give you about a minute or so for you to kind of look. Read each description for each model. 2019 teacher, or are you the presenter, or are you the flip-flopper? So those different types of hybrid model out there. So why don't I give you some time, and at the end, I will ask you which model resonates you the most, you identify with the most. So let's go from there. All right. I'll give you a minute. I hope you had enough time to learn about different types of hybrid teaching. Now go ahead, upper right corner, you see the triangle, square, circle, like a same polls that you did earlier, and answer the poll 2 question, which hybrid model best fits your current style?
Yo, I have a quick question.
Yeah, Leslie, go ahead.
So are you going to be explaining these? Because I am not sure what I am based on what
Okay.
I'm because
Sure.
or should I just take the poll with guessing what I think I am and then we're going to discuss it further?
Yeah, Leslie, if you the one that you feel most closest, identify yourself the most. I know it's sometimes not clear cut, but if you can pick one that's really close to your current teaching model,
Gotcha.
that would be great. Thank you,
Okay.
Leslie. Good question.
Yo, good morning. I came in a little late.
Hey, Alan, good to see you.
Yeah, well, here you can actually see me.
Yeah.
Hello, but
Hey.
I have a back issue, so I got a backpack. Anyway, a lot of stuff going on. So I was just curious, where you do the where is it that you click on? I missed the survey, and then I also I'm trying to tell you which instructional model I'm in. How do I do that again?
Yes. You're looking at the hybrid model menu, right? Right now, there's 6 different models.
Yeah, the one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good, awesome. Now go to the right, upper right corner. You see a triangle, square, and circle icon
On the Google Meet.
on the Google Meet.
Oh, yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So click on that, and you see. If you click on that, you see 2 polls, and the second poll is asking you to pick one that is close to you.
Got it. Sorry, I was looking at the
No
other
problem.
screen. So thank you, whoever jumped in and told me is on the Google Meets. That was
That's
the
okay.
key.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. You're welcome. So we're gonna give about 30 more seconds for you to choose, and then we'll convene. Is poll coming in, Gloria? Thank you.
Yes, right now we have 5 in the 2019 teacher, 3 in the presenter, 4 in the flippy flopper, which is kind of funny to say. 1 in the 2021 teacher, 2 in the demonstrator, and 7 in the multitasker.
Yeah, that is so cool. All right,
23 votes.
All right, let's go. Please go ahead, share the results, please. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, awesome. A lot of multitasker is out there, like Gloria mentioned. I see 2019 teacher. Okay, all right, come come join us in 2021 teacher. No, actually, I see myself 2020 teacher actually in the middle, 19 or 21. I haven't moved here yet. I'm stuck in 20 still.
There's nothing wrong with a 2019 model. It's we're all where we're at, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, nothing wrong with that, right? Awesome, and I hope this chart helped you think about your model, and nothing wrong with staying with a comfortable place. But I hope this chart gave you some ideas what you can be too. So when you're ready, and become now I feel like I'm comfortable with 2020 teacher, but I want to move to 2021 teacher. But it takes time and resources a little bit. I'm going to pause here. If you have any questions about the models, or there's another model that you want to propose in here. All right.
I have a question. Sorry, guys. I know you all hate me. So if I have an idea of what I want to do and how I want to present it, but I just don't know how to do it technology-wise, what do I do then?
Yeah, that would be what is that called? The new categories needed, right? Like curious, hybrid curious a teacher or something, So that would be, I think that's why we're here today. We'd like to show some of the strategies that inspire you and to move from current. Nothing wrong with, again, staying current, because we have to know what we're going into. So no rush there. And hopefully some of the stuff we're presenting today will be helpful in that transitioning, Leslie. Thank you. All right, Jen, let's move on to now that we have identified ourselves for certain type of models or you know what areas you want to improve or learn more, implement. Let's move on to the next section, Jen.
So, starting over, hybrid best practices. So when we talked about online instruction best practices, a lot of these are going to be pretty similar. So back in last year when we were looking at we're moving into distance learning, we had some best practices such as keep it organized, make norms and make your expectations clear, establish routines and keep it simple. We're going to have the same sort of best practices for the rest of this year. With just little changes, right? So you still want to keep it organized. You don't want to make big changes on how you've been giving students information, especially for the rest of the year. We're looking at a month here. So maybe if we go into hybrid, we might, for the fall, we may explore some more in-depth look at how to do things. But for now, you want to we don't want to make it too much of a leap from what we've been doing. So you still want to keep things, don't make big changes on how you're giving students information. Keep it simple for the students, keep it organized for the students, so those instructions are clear and concise. You want to reestablish your norms with the students and review them every day. Your norms are going to be the same, a little bit different for being all online versus having half online and half in the class, or some ratio that where you want to have some norms for those in the class and how they would interact with those online, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Establishing routines. So now we have all these new aspects of how students enter the room, their cleaning and all these things, so we're going to need to establish routines for that part. Think about how when you have students on Zoom, or we're calling it roomers and zoomers I know that most people are using Meet, but for the sake of when I say Zoom, I'm referring to Zoom or Meet. So when you have your roomers coming in and getting settled and opening and stuff, what are you having your Zoomers do? When the students are cleaning their area, what are you having your Zoomers do? Are they, if you have a check-in, check-out form or something that you use every day, are the students doing that at the same time? Are the Zoomers doing that when you have the students coming in the room and the students in the room are doing their check-in the same differently? So you want to think about how are you going to, what is the routines going to be for the roomers and the Zoomers, but again, keeping it somewhat similar to what you have been doing, and not trying to reinvent the wheel. So you keep it simple, take a breath. Remember, nobody is expecting perfection right now. This is new for all of us. So keep it simple. Don't reinvent the wheel. Remember, SEL is the focus right now. So take a breath, and I'll remind myself to take a breath. And nobody's expecting us to blow everybody out of the water with amazing new ways of instruction. However, this is an opportunity to explore some exciting new territory in online and blended learning. So some suggestions. And again, please feel free to ask questions in the chat, or you can put questions on the Q&A section of the agenda. So some ideas for managing roomers and Zoomers. One of the things you have to think about is, are you going to have your roomers join the online Meet or Zoom at the same time as the rest of the students? SEL is social emotional learning. So if you have the people in the classroom on your Zoom or Meet at the same time, they would need to be muted and very importantly, have their Chromebooks volume completely off, because otherwise you're going to get a lot of feedback. So if you do have your roomers online, they have to have their volume all the way off and their mics muted. The only real reason for this during whole class instruction would be for them to interact with the chat. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. There's other ways that students can interact with each other aside from the chat. So you could, for the sake of equity, turn the chat off and have students collaborate and respond on a Padlet or a Jamboard or a Nearpod. So you can set up a Jamboard really fast and have your, you know, the first slide be the chat slide where they're interacting that way. You can have a question on Google Classroom. You can use the question feature and have students respond to each other that way. And you can have, when you ask questions, you can throw up, if you have a Jamboard open and all the students are on it, you can throw up another slide with the question that you want them to answer that they would normally answer in the chat. They can answer on the Jamboard. You can do similar things on Padlet or Nearpod as well. When you are doing group work or partner work, then you would have the roomers join the Zoomer meet if they're not already, and then you would put them in the breakout rooms and they would interact with each other that way. So then they would have to turn, they are expected to bring headphones every day. That's part of the established expectations for hybrid students coming on campus, is that they have their Chromebook, their charger, and their headphones every day. So then they would be listening through their headphones and speaking to each other through their microphones. Any questions about any of that so far?
Jen, if I could just take this opportunity to tell everyone that if you haven't noticed yet, the Jamboard is embedded into your Google Meets if you click on the 3 dots at the bottom right hand of the screen. And it's a quick way to just click the 3 dots, press on or click on the whiteboard, open a Jam from there, and then you can open the Jamboard there. I know we've been using Jamboard a lot as a team, so I just wanted to share that it's there for you. Quick access.
Thank you. Okay.
And also, Jen, we have a question, and if there's a recommended resource for how to use Jamboard or Padlet.
Yeah, and I can look for something to share with you during our Q&A session. I don't have one off the top of my head to think of, but I am going to share some resources that are linked onto our agenda that, like, I don't specifically have like tutorials yet on Jamboard or Padlet linked on there, but we may have them on our staff tutorial page. So I will take a look at that while we're on our Q&A session, and if not, I'll send it to have it ready to send out to Gloria and on from our from our staff tutorial page, which I can show you also during our Q&A session. This is also a link to a article if you want to take a look at that on how to set up a classroom. All right.
For those of us who are not necessarily teachers, which is probably like about 4 or 5 of us in here, can you just like go over what the Jamboard is just real quickly, like what it does, what are the benefits and that kind of thing?
Sure. So Jamboard is a kind of like a very basic version of slides, but it's more like an interactive sort of thing. So let me open up a Jamboard. I'll just open up a blank one on Meet here. It's creating a Jam. So it kind of looks like slides, but it doesn't have as many features because slides is pretty hefty. Okay. It's opening for me here. So, all right. So you see in the chat there, what I did was like Loera said, I went to the 3 dots. I clicked open a Jamboard. And once it created the Jamboard, it automatically put that link in the chat for me. So I didn't actually write that. Google Meet did it for me. So now if you click on that link, I can see 6 or 7 people. I'm going to share this tab instead. So I can see how many people are joining. Right now I have 9 total viewers. So I see my people joining, and then up here you can see that right now I only have one slide. So this would be like my home slide. If I wanted to add more, I would just I would click this link and it creates more. And then this is how I would toggle back and forth. If I pull this down, this little down arrow, I can see the slides I have. And I see people already interacting together. So if I wanted to create, if I wanted this to be my chat room, I could create a text box here. This is chat room. And this would be a place where people can talk to each other. Maybe I want my next one to be my first question. And I'll create a text box here with my first question. What is the meaning of life? Seems like a good warm-up question. I don't know. I'm just putting things on the top of my head here. And then as students, you could either put a text box in or you could use the sticky note feature and put your answer to what is the meaning of life and move your sticky note around. You can also add an image or add a circle, a shape. You can draw. So if you like this answer, you can put a check mark next to it. And so a quick overview of Jenny. Sorry, go ahead, Alan.
So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this slide and go back to our slides. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is grouping. So this is very similar to the ideas that you might have been presented for grouping in online learning. Distance learning is keeping I don't know if anybody did this with you, but it's a good idea to keep your groups consistent, because especially when you're online and then students aren't getting a chance to know each other as well. By keeping your groups consistent, they get more comfortable with each other. Now that you're going to have some students in the classroom, you may have to change your groups up a little bit, and that's totally fine. But one of the ideas or recommendations for having roomers and zoomers is have at least one roomer in a group with a zoomer. So if you have, let's say you have 1/3 of your class in person, you would want one, and you wanted groups of 3, you would have one zoomer with 2, or one roomer with 2 zoomers, or whatever your ratio is. And then try to keep those groups consistent. So there is a tool here that was shared by one of our site ed techs and created by Jen Roberts from one of the Q presenters. It is a little advanced, but it is a useful tool to create groups. I'm not going to go through how to do that right now, but there's a blog post on with the instructions and videos with instructions and everything. If that's too complicated, you guys know your students by now. It's or maybe unless you're in a semester class and that's shorter, but so you may already have your group set up. You may have ways of setting up your groups, but the idea of having your roomers and zoomers in breakout rooms together helps to pull that community and where those that are not in the classroom feel connected to those that are in the classroom. I have lots of other tools for creating groups, such as Flippity and whatnot. So if you want help with any of those, let me know. Another idea is using stations for smaller groups. So breaking them into groups and using stations that are, quote, digital stations, I guess you would say. So putting students into groups, student work on a station assignment, and then after a length of time, the students would switch. So if you want to have smaller group instruction with your roomers and zoomers, half of them might be on station 1, half might be on station 2, and you can be working with, maybe station 2 is the group that you're working with, and then halfway through the class they switch. So there's an example from an English class of a type of station rotation. So obviously we're not rotating because that's not COVID safe. We're not moving around the classroom and sharing materials, but you can have digital stations instead. So remembering that SEL, that social emotional learning, focusing on the well-being of our students, we're looking for connection. We're not looking for perfection. So keeping those Zoomers engaged by connecting them with the roomers, making sure you're checking in with everybody, having routines that establish those check-in processes with your Zoomers as well as your roomers. There is a little video here with an example of how one might check in with a spinning wheel that you can review later. And then also, when you have your roomers come in, maybe your first day or two as you're orienting them to the classroom, ask them for their input. Get that student voice. Student voice is huge in making students feel connected and part of the classroom, responsible for the outcome of how things go in the class. So ask them for their opinion. How would they shape the class? What do you think? What do the students think would be good expectations for being in person? What would your online students think are expectations for being on connected in the class? And so on. So by asking them for their input, you're helping to build that community and that student buy-in on what, and what they're going to give to class, because the more they give to class in the beginning and establish those routines with their voice, then the more likely they are to continue giving that buy-in to the class. And anytime you see this little hand with the clicky finger, that means that's a link. And there's that phone call. Okay, so give me 1 second there, Doc. So I am going to, there's some resources here. And we will, give me 1 second, Doctor, I'm sorry. Yeah, so there's some resources here we're going to go over. I'm going to hand it over to Yo, and I'm going to stop presenting, and he can start presenting to take it over, and then I will be right back with you.
Okay. Thank you. So when we found out that we're going hybrid, and of course immediately I reached out to my teacher friends from different districts who had been doing hybrid for months. And they were saying that some of them were saying basically they are doing the same thing from the classroom, from their desk. And that's one way of doing it. Another teacher mentioned that instead of doing that, she had the camera facing her. She'll be teaching in front of the board, like as if she would do in the classroom, and have the camera facing her. And in the classroom, the roomies turn off their Chromebooks at that point and pay attention to teachers. But the Zoomers will be watching teacher teach. So that's another model that I also heard. So whatever that fits you, I think you have to feel comfortable doing this, right? So without complicating so much, I think right now is really probably best to that we feel comfortable doing whatever that mode that we choose to try. Okay, I'm going to pause right here. In terms of we talked about 6 different models we looked at. At this point, are you thinking about teaching from your classroom, from your desk, using the Chromebook like you've been doing remotely, or are you thinking about projecting your screen to Zoomers at home, but the students in the classroom you'd be teaching to them directly facing to them? So what are your thoughts right now? Which model are you thinking about exploring? So you can put that in the chat, either if you're thinking about projecting the lesson to all, or doing the kind of same manner as if you've been doing this remote learning. So you can put that in the chat.
Yo, one of the questions that came up in our staff meeting earlier was how to kind of pace things out. So in addition to how I'm going to show students or communicate, is do I teach one thing Tuesday, Wednesday, and something different Thursday, Friday, or do I just repeat? That might be a question we're discussing as a team too.
That's a very good question. So the model goes, if I'm understanding correctly, so the cohort 1, Tuesday, Wednesday group, right? And the Thursday, Friday group. So the 2 cohorts going on. And so basically you can do, if it's the same level, same content area, just 2 cohorts in the same content that they're learning, perhaps you can do that, the teaching. Basically, they're learning remotely or in class, right? So basically, the same lesson will apply to whole, 2 cohorts. Yeah, I think that's easier in my head. Yeah, I see a lot of people answering. Thank you. So same model, remote model. So same meaning remote, and so now both, because with a large screen in class for roomers, so they have more the better view, right, so to speak. They have the primo seating area in the classroom. Yes, and part live and part DL in person. Exactly. As an educator, my mind goes, how can I leverage the situation? The students are here in classroom face to face. How can I better serve them, better teach them? Mine goes there too. Then I get kind of nervous about, okay, I have to differentiate the teaching to engage students in the classroom as well as remote. So then my question is, probably I'll teach the class and project my screen, and then create some space for them to open up the Chromebook so they can engage with other students at home. So I might kind of have some really simplify my lesson plan, direct instruction part, watch me, and then go ahead, group work, open up the Chromebook, and then go to breakout room, and then work together and so forth. So really simplifying a lesson might be the key. It's already kind of overwhelming, right? If you think about many parts. I used to think about station model. I guess part live, part DL. Brianna had a question. Are you thinking about? I don't know. You mean me or someone else? But yeah, station model. If you feel comfortable and structure the lesson in the way the station model really it's beneficial, then yes, I think like the tool Jen shared earlier, so we can group them up and then do the station model as well. All right, so we started with the different models first, and Jane walked us through with different strategies, a Jamboard, and which many of us are familiar with, and a way to engage students. And Jane also pointed out an important point: ask students good questions and have them contribute, because connection is what we are seeking, not perfection. If that's the case, ask them content-related questions or social emotionally learning questions to really engage them. If we're nervous about it, imagine students, they might feel nervous about coming to school, right? So how can we ease their anxiety at the same time and really listen to them by asking content-related questions or social emotionally learning connected questions. Thank you. So here we go. While we're waiting for Jen to come back, we're going to continue our PD. Gloria is going to have you put you in the breakout rooms and consider those questions here in the agenda. I'm sorry, I don't have a power to project it on the screen, but I'm going to put the link to you in the chat one more time. Here you see 3 questions that you may choose. one or two or three, all of them, of the questions or another question you may have to discuss in a small group to now, after listening to our presentation, what thoughts you have. What do you think your hybrid model will be from the model menu that we looked at? Or maybe do you have different ideas? Like Leslie mentioned that she's contemplating a slightly different model that she's used to. What ahas did you have from earlier session? And what are your next steps to prepare for hybrid and concurrent learning model? Okay, so we are going to go into our breakout rooms and discuss either one of those threes, or really what's in your mind now. What would be helpful for you to prepare hybrid learning for next week? Okay, so we have about 15 minutes we allocated. I think 11 o'clock is a good time. 13 minutes if it's okay. We'll come back to that. So Gloria, please. Yeah. And we have 35 people, probably 3 to 4 people in the group would be good. So how about 3? What's 35 divided by 3? What is it? Is the math teacher here?
We do have some administrators too, so it might be more like 4 or 5. Is that okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. And you said how many minutes?
I said 4. If it's 3 people, then that would be 11. No, 12 rooms.
Okay, 12 minutes. All right, I'm sending you off into your breakout room. See you in a bit.
Yes.
How was your breakout rooms? Did anybody have any ahas that they shared with each other, or any great discussions you want to share?
Can you hear me? Hi, Jen. This is Rosemary.
Yeah, hi.
Anyway, I wanted to just say how thankful I am because I landed in the room with whoever put us in there, Geneva and Myra, and I didn't get to talk much with Myra. And however, Geneva was so helpful because I was having questions regarding how was I going to present what I'm doing with and monitor my students. I'm used to looking at them when I have them doing hands-on. I'm used to looking at them, but then we went a little bit, the question came up, well, how do I do that and still monitor my students who are sitting in the classroom? So I thought, I said, do I need 2 computers? Because one needs to project the screen that I want, but then I also want to watch them. I'm used to that. So I'm thinking, how do we, balance this and still engage in, with your students who are sitting right there directly? And Geneva came up with a great solution for me, at least. She said I could position my camera to where I can see the students who are online on the screen on my and that way I'm not just looking away from. And I thought, yes. So I just want to hug Geneva, give her a virtual hug.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of teachers display their online students on the screen too.
Do we need permission to do that?
I don't think so.
I mean, is that going to be to go through the district?
No.
Are we invading them any way by saying, because
well, they've already filled out that consent to be online, whatever it is that they had to fill out. So you would know if you have students that are not allowed to be recorded or showed, and it's like very few. I think there's like 2 in the whole district. So it shouldn't be an issue. It's not like you're, recording them and putting them on an advertisement for a product or something. So, and
they're used to being in the breakout rooms anyway with each other, looking at each other. I mean, I require mine to have their cameras on when
Mhm.
they're in those. So
And that's one of the things that they'll just, kind of part of getting used to hybrid learning is if you're not if you're in class, you're seeing each other's faces in class. If you're not in class, you're seeing each other's faces online. It's it's people that are the kids that are like, I don't want to show my face, but if they were in school, they would see their face.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
it's still uncomfortable for them, but part of
Yeah.
phrasing it that way might help too.
So we need to have additional computer because Dr. Glenn was mentioning they were going to have these OWL or some type of camera that we wear or something. And I just felt like, wait a minute, I don't know if I can make adjustments to troubleshooting some camera on me to try to make it work for everybody else, along with trying to make sure it's connected to the computer. That takes up the whole morning then, and you didn't really provide instruction. You were trying to make sure everybody could see or whatever you were, doing. So I don't know. This to me that's the biggest challenge I feel like I'm posed with, trying to make sure the students see what I see or me see what they're doing when I have them doing something. So.
Yeah, so the OWL camera thing would have to be a continued discussion with your admin and whatnot, because they may or may not be used. But aside from that, if without the OWL cameras, you can use your IPVO camera to show the room as well, and you can also display your kids online on the projector. So there's lots of different ways to work around it.
Okay.
So speaking of
Thank
tech,
you.
I see there's a question in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry, Rosemary, go ahead.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. So I see there's some questions in the chat about setting up your technology. So that's a great leeway to the next part, where I want to show you some resources that we have been working on collecting. So you may have seen this already, but there is a link to a Padlet, and it was sent to you from me on Friday morning, and it was also in the Shoulda Coulda Woulda, and you'll probably be seeing it sent out many times. So this is a collaborative gallery on Padlet of resources that have been collected by our entire EdTech team. Myself and Brianna, the site EdTechs have been doing amazing work, and they also have posts on here from other people in the district, PBS counselors, intervention specialists, ed services, etc. So there's a lot of stuff on here. But if you look at this, there's different columns. So tutorials specific to SUHSD hybrid teacher hardware and software needs. We have people who are making videos of how they are setting up their classroom, or how to use the new, make sure your new computer is set up, or use your document camera. So if you look on this first column here, Mr. Alvarez and Mr. Tuminelli have made videos of the new desktop setup. So to show you like where the wires are and the power button, and and make sure your IPVO camera is connected. So there's videos there to watch. If you are using your projector, this shows you how to set up. If you have one monitor in your projector, there's a video here by Mr. Scavo, and then a video if you have two monitors and a projector, how to get that set up. So it's pretty simple once you watch these videos to see the process of this is monitor 1, 2, and then monitor 3 is your projector. And there's also some slides with pictures to show you as well. And there's videos from Ms. Davia and Ms. Dodd about using Zoom and Meet and your IPVO camera. So we are.
So where are these videos at?
What's that?
Where are the videos?
They're linked right here on this Padlet. I'll put the Padlet link in the chat, but it is also on your agenda. I can't. Ooh, this lag. Okay, thanks, you. It was also emailed to you by me on Friday morning. and it's in the coulda, shoulda, woulda as well. And we're going to have it on the teacher resources and all that stuff. There's PD things here. So the hybrid model menu that we looked at, there's hybrid docs and lots of tools here, tips and webinars and blogs and videos from teachers that have been doing distant hybrid learning. So for example, there's a couple-minute video from this teacher who uses slides to make what she calls digital desktops, so that everybody has a desktop space that is, and it's a way that she has her students collaborate and feel like they have a little space that is theirs. And so you can watch how she does that. So we also are, as we are getting them, posting the hybrid documents for the district on this column. So this, we're trying to make this as usable as a resource as we can for all of the teachers in the district. And as we get more things, we're adding to it, so it's constantly evolving. It is editable, so if you have some resources, you can come here and click on this plus button. So if you found a vlog that you thought was really helpful, you can click this plus button, and you can give it a title, and you can link it, paste the link in there, and then that becomes a post. So you can add to this. So like somebody anonymous posted this one. If you're logged into Padlet, it will give you a name, which is nice too. And if you find something useful and you want to comment, this is great. I loved it. I used it in my class, whatever. That's also helpful too, because then other people see that it's something that's useful, right? Is there any questions about this? All right, and then Yo also has put a link to.
Yeah. If that wasn't enough, more. So the thing is, the caution is this: this is another opportunity for us to become really resourceful, right? So that's where we're here. But I really like how Rosemary shared. She had this clear idea of, okay, this is my teacher move. This is what I want to see. I want to see my students on the screen. How do I do it? And Geneva helped her with the ideas. How about this? I think, that's the first way to kind of tackle this. First know your teacher move and what you want to see, how you want to teach, and how can we do that? Ask those questions, because otherwise those resources can be overwhelming. It's our job is not to master each item here. No, those are resources. But first, maybe take a moment and think about what kind of teacher moves you find you really value, and it's important, and it's you. So start with that. What is you? And then look for the solutions, like Rosemary did. And Geneva is going to be super busy, and Gloria is going to be super busy, because people will be asking them, this is what I want to do. How can we do this? And Jen and I are here as well. But those of you who want to spend some time and look through the resources, there is another website here. Hybrid and concurrent learning, the cult of pedagogy. So I know some of you have used her sites, Resourceful, and this is some resources that she's been developing over a year. So there you go. I know when I saw this, it's overwhelming, but I knew what I wanted to do. So I was able to search, kind of sort what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
But,
and you can also, like, Pinterest is a great jumping off point too for finding things. So even if you come here and you're like, oh my God, this is insane, but I want to know something really specific. Like I want to know something about using stations in a hybrid setting, then I can search in Pinterest for that and see if there's resources that are more specific to that. So you can narrow your search terms and try to find what you're looking for.
So yeah, so there we go. And we started with that, again, pause and think about our hybrid teaching model, and what is me, what is us, and what would we like to see. And we discussed, in a small group, and Jen and I, we shared some of the resources, ongoing resources we're adding constantly. And now we'd like to give you an opportunity to stop and take a moment and think about what would you like to see in hybrid teaching next week. And luckily we have whole week this week to prepare, right? And some of us are going back to classroom to set up the hardware part, and some of us are developing the lessons online. And the good news is we're here, and we have a week to really welcome back, and that excitement that kids bring, and then you bring to kids when they come back, and balloons, and just congratulate them for coming into classroom and engage in a face-to-face situation. There's something that we want to think about as well. So in the CTE hybrid planning learning PD, the screen that you're looking at, you can go ahead, type questions with or without your name, and we try to answer best we can. And also, Gloria implemented this new tool, right? And Q&A in Google Meet. You may, I know I hate to give two options, but we have two options now. So yeah, Jen, go ahead.
Let's stick with the agenda for now for the question Q&A, just so that we have a record of them, so that we can, if you want further help, put your name next to it. We can always get back to you as well. But for the next, let's say 35-40 minutes, we are going to have a Q&A time where we're all going to hang out together. And if you have questions, you can ask them here. You can unmute and ask them. This is also a supported collaborative work time, meaning that Yo and I and Gloria and Robin, we're all here to support you as you are working through whatever it is you're working on. So as you are preparing for next week, thinking about next week, what is it going to look like? What is it going to be like for you? What questions do you have? Maybe you have something you want to start working on, and you want to work with your colleagues. You can request a breakout room, and Gloria can send you and whoever you want to work with. So if there's like a PLC that wants to work together without the rest of us here, we can put you in a breakout room and you can start planning together. If you need support, you can always pull one of us in. If you have specific questions and you want some one-on-one support, we can do that in a breakout room as well. So use this document here to ask your questions and request breakout rooms. So if your PLC wants a breakout room, just write like engineering PLC, whatever it's called, and your name, and we will get you a breakout room. So let's have this work time and question and answer time until, let's go with 11:50. And then we'll all come back together. So we are still remaining online together for this PD. It's a supported work time.
Mine was a question in regards to what if we only have one student that opts to come back? Because one of the things that was mentioned is that we're not allowed to be alone with one student, but we're going to have our doors open and stuff. So
that's probably an admin question, Gloria.
Because I would hate to, even if there's just one student, I want to be able to honor their desire to be in the classroom and to have an opportunity for hands-on learning. So I just worry that they're going to say, okay, there's only one student, therefore that person has to go back to distance learning. So I'm just curious as to how that's going to work.
No, that's a valid question. I'll add it to our Q&A document and we can get a more direct answer, because my initial is if your door has the window, your door is, so, and then you also have kids in the virtual space or you're not technically alone. It's such a nuanced thing that I want to get you the right answer. But my initial is it should be fine, but you know, we need to get a direct answer. And I think you're not the only one with that question, because families have said, you know, we'd rather not, we want to come, but then when it comes down to it and the student says, you know what, I don't like this, I'm sure we're going to have some kids go back. So it's going to be a, you know, flexible space for us too in terms of those rules, right? So I'll document the question and then we'll circle back with it.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that question, but when I saw it in the Q&A that Katie had sent out, I thought, oh, that's a really great question. Because my thought is, and I don't know what you all think about this, but my thought is, I have no idea how this would work with me being able to do, because Mrs. Glenn said that we're able to use our dental labs or you know, our prospective labs. And so I want to be able to give the students a chance for some hands-on opportunities. However, I don't know how that would work for those that are virtual. So what I was thinking is being able to give them an asynchronous assignment, you know, working together for like maybe the first 30 minutes. And then at that point, the virtual students could continue on asynchronously. Well, at that point, then I'm able to concentrate all my time and attention to the students that are in the classroom to do a hands-on activity. Because the students that are virtual, if I'm sitting here trying to teach them how to take an impression, they can't participate because they're not physically in the classroom. So and plus they would probably be bored out of their mind, and they wouldn't be able to see me good either, because I don't know if I'm supposed to carry my laptop around with me, you know, maneuver in a way that they can see what we're doing. So it's all very new, but that was my thought, is that, okay, I'm going to do virtual for 30 minutes and then we'll stop and then we'll go to the hands-on procedure. But at that point I would be alone with the student, because at that point the other students are working on an asynchronous assignment.
You know, Ms. Oshinang, something that I've seen when we were doing our walkthroughs that I thought, oh, wow, that's a really great use of the kids who are virtual with you, is that there's a rubric for whatever it is you're doing, hands-on, and the students that are virtual are watching the students that are doing the work or modeling something, right? And the ones, you're all together, right? But it's usually the students who are virtual, not doing any of that hands-on or demonstrating, they're doing grading and feedback on the student that is doing something.
Okay, so they're just kind of watching it. And another issue, of course, is going to be they're not going to be able to hear us, because depending on where this laptop's going to be sitting in the classroom, in order to be able to pan the room, in order to see, they're not going to be able to see up close, nor will they probably be able to hear us unless we're screaming, you know, towards the laptop. So I'm glad we're having this month to kind of practice and work out these kinks, so that next year will be a little bit more impressive if we have to start with virtual learning again, or with hybrid model again, is what I meant.
Yeah. So as far as the technical aspect of it, if you have a laptop that you can move around, you can use the camera on the laptop and just kind of position it so that the students can see. You can also, your IPVO camera is USB plug and play. So if you bring your laptop and your IPVO, and you can position the IPVO onto what the student is doing, so that they can, the online students can see it better. That might be an option.
What's an IPVO camera?
IPVO is the new document cameras that we have. So it's a smaller version of a document camera, kind of folds out, and it's more movable, like where the old document cameras are bulky and they have like 7 wires coming out of them. This one just has one USB cord, so you can take your laptop and the IPVO camera together to a student who is making an impression, right? And then position the camera so that just as an option. So everybody should have IPVOs. The district purchased them for everybody.
So Mrs. Estrada, do we have those? Because I haven't seen those cameras.
I would have to check with Estella, because I know we got a bunch of technology, but I'm not sure where we are in the process. So I'll put it in the document too.
Yeah, and then I'm just really nervous because this is all happening as quickly as Monday, and I'm a type of person that likes to have things, you know, all done and organized and ready to go, because I don't want to look like an idiot.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not-
The key to it, Yo and Jen and the message we had in our staff meeting today is like, don't try to do too much. Keep it as simple as possible. Try to keep routines as similar as you can. Simple kind of routine when you meet with your kiddos. Don't change anything drastically because it is very stressful for you. And we want to lower that affective filter for kids, but we also want to do it for us as adults. So, we will figure it out together. And I promise we will get you what you need. And if we can't do it, we'll communicate it. But if it's feeling like too much, scale it down for yourself.
Yeah, I do understand that. I just don't want it. I want it to be an experience for those students that are choosing to come back to school. I don't want it to be the same thing we've been doing every day. And then they're thinking, well, shoot, why didn't I just stay in my pajamas? Why am I here, in the classroom?
And that is why the connection, the piece, the SEL, the social emotional learning part of it is kind of taking the priority with those kiddos, especially because you have them right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
So one thought that came up as we were discussing this is this, if you have students in the classroom, let's say it's more than one, let's say you have 3 kids in the classroom and you want to have them have those hands-on opportunities to learn how to make impressions, since that's the example you use. The students that are working asynchronously could still be learning the same thing, even though they're not doing it hands-on. So I'm sure you have video resources and whatnot for how to do that. And then I also wonder if there's like, I don't know enough about dental learning how all these things, but if it's something I know in particularly in other courses like the robotics and computers, there's a lot of simulations that they could use as well. So I wonder if there's simulations that the students online can do while the students in the room are doing the hands-on stuff. But again, right now I feel give yourself some grace. It doesn't have to be all and everything all at once. The students, I understand that this is new for everybody, and it's okay to remind them, like, we're figuring this out as we go. They're understanding about it. So like Gloria said, it's more about making sure that SEL is being addressed versus the rigor of content. I mean, that's so important, but
Okay, thank you.
Gloria, there's a request for a breakout room. Would you be able to make one for Tom and Joseph?
Hello, Jennifer, I have a question, and I don't know if this is something one person could do or any of you, or is this again with Dr. Glenn? I still need clarification as to the daily attendance. And then in my mind, I need to see, okay, for an example, on Monday next week, on Tuesday and Wednesday, whatever students I have, they're getting assigned work. But then what happens to the other students that you don't see? Are we assigning, me personally, I made assignments for them all week. So I don't know how I'm distributing or not. I feel like there's going to be some confusion on I'm not clear on my part as to, do I continue to assign my students work that they're used to doing every day, even though I don't see them on those 2 days that they're not assigned to the class? That period 6. So, okay, all right, this Tuesday and Wednesday students who are assigned to come to the classroom, and then you have your students who will be online with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what sections are we dealing with those students? Are we dealing with all 3 sections? Will I see them on Tuesday and Wednesday?
So on Tuesday and Wednesday, you would have cohort A in the class, but cohort B and C are online, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
So then on Thursday and Friday, cohort A is online and cohort C is online, but cohort B is in the classroom.
So what I'm asking is every day, whether they're online or not, I see my students, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay. But there's just a few that will be in the classroom with me on Tuesday or Wednesday, which I don't know yet because they haven't sent out us the list. Like Mrs. Ochene said, it could be one student or, two, right? But-
She was saying like as if because the students are opting into hybrid, right? So she's saying the possibility is there that you may only have one or two students opt in for that cohort period that time.
Now, I agree with Mrs. Ochene that it would be reasonable to have them do some work together, and then after about 30 minutes, you could kind of, spend a little more hands-on with the ones that are there. And that to me feels like it wouldn't interrupt all the students' work, because you guys keep suggesting we keep it simple and keep them used to doing what they're doing, which I agree. Because at this point, I don't think any of those students are looking forward to anything more changes happening to them. That's going to, put some of them on edge. And I just, I think if we can streamline it as simple as possible, because we're all just trying to learn this and get through it.
Yeah.
But right now, again, I'm the type of person, I have to see what I'm doing. You guys could tell me until I'm blue in the face, which wouldn't look right? My coloring would not show that. Anyway, until I physically am doing what I'm doing, then it'll make sense to me. So right now, I just hear all these things that we need to be connecting or we're going to be doing, and I have to kind of be going through the process. I'm more of a kinesthetic manual learner, so I have to see myself in it before it becomes real to me,
Right. And I think a lot of this is don't, as you're going, start simple. Keep it. If it ends up being that we're doing distance learning with bodies in the classroom, that's what it is, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you go and you get more comfortable with it, then maybe start experimenting with station ideas and things like that. But don't stress yourself out trying to figure out how to be amazing at 2 things at once or 7 things at once. Sometimes it feels like.
Well,
So
thank you. I needed to hear that.
Yeah, if you're doing the same thing that you were doing before, but you have bodies in the classroom, that's okay. We can grow from there. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I think that feel, because again, I don't want to overwhelm the students, and I do feel like I'm thinking like Mrs. Ochene in regards to the students who show up. Sometimes students go, wait, I don't want to be the lone person here. They walk in and they go, wait a minute. They want to see some more students in there too. I mean, I think we can make a connection with them if we keep them busy or, make them feel welcome. But at some point they kind of start feeling like, whoa, I need another couple of bodies in here. So,
yeah.
And they're allowed to change their mind, correct? I mean, they're allowed to.
The students, as far as whether they're going to be in class or not?
Yeah.
They're allowed to change so they're allowed to, if they choose hybrid, they're allowed to go back into distance if they ask, but if they choose distance, they're not allowed to change to hybrid. And if they choose hybrid and then they choose to go back to distance, they can't come back.
Now, what about the ones that are at home and they're watching, they go, wait, I think I want to come now. They're allowed to.
They'll have to wait till the fall.
Huh?
They have to wait till the fall.
Oh, so they're not.
Right, Gloria? That's the rule, right? Yeah.
So
and that
far,
it takes time to get the students oriented and understanding all of the rules. And then if you you know, have to do that every time a new kid comes into the class. You're never going to get to any of the content, right?
Yeah, that. Now that makes sense, because I asked that at the onset, and I was curious about that. But it appeared that we are keeping it very student-centered, open for them to be able to decide what they want to do versus, you know, but that makes sense that they would have to be oriented to the classroom.
Okay, Miss Johnson. So I just set up the breakout rooms. I have you, Katrina, Leslie, Megan, Norma, Rachel, and Renata in one group. And then I have James and Joseph in another group.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, I'm going to open those rooms now.
Thank you.
Okay. I figured it out.
Yeah. Yes, Gloria.
Yes.
I was laughing at James' comments, like the Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never come back.
He's so funny.
That's awesome. Love it. So, Jen, we have questions here. So do we have to supervise the cleaning part? Maybe Gloria, it's a Gloria question. Is that a site-based question? Yeah.
Let's see. Is that in our Q&A?
Yeah, I'm looking at
Okay.
Q&A, number 1.
Oh, I don't see it. Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, do we have to supervise the cleaning part?
You know what? The MOU is coming out tomorrow, I believe. My initial thought is yes, because it's part of the, you know, like you would clean up your classroom type thing at the end of the class period. But I haven't seen the official word on the MOU, so that should be out tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, I just saw something new. Ms. Ochinang is requesting help from one of the breakout rooms, so I'm gonna head out there.
Okay.
Do you know what kind of help, or would it be better if it was one of us?
I don't know. Let me check and then I'll come back.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Jen, we have another question here. Any suggestions for managing online students while waiting for in-person students to come in?
Yeah, have something for them to do. Have a task or a warm up as they are, you know, as the students are waiting. You have students online. That soft start kind of idea, like we did with us. We had a question. We had a poll, right? So maybe there's a poll, or you have a Google form, or a Jamboard, and you have something for them to do while the students are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You have anything else yeah?
I've seen when I did the virtual learning walk, this art teacher had this bell ringer where naturally she was using art, but I think it can be used in all classes. It doesn't have to be an art class. An art or some kind of picture of something you're about to teach or they're learning, or totally unrelated. And then ask students to notice some things in a way that trying to bring them to the present moment. You know, what you see and what feelings do you get and how you relate, and etc. So I thought that was great, engaging, and also really restful bell ringer. I remember that.
Yeah, and you can also have the students who are coming in seeing the same visual as well. That's a tactic I've seen a lot for starting class as a warm-up or a bell ring or whatever, having a picture, kind of like what do you see, what do you wonder, and so the students online are answering, but the students as they come in the room, they're looking at the same picture projected as well, so it kind of ties them in there.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have people trickling back in from their breakouts. I hope everybody had some good work time and think time and thought partners. So as we come back, are we all back now?
I think so.
All right, great. Welcome back, everyone. So as you come back, there is another poll for you. That's the same question we started with, but this is the post-PD survey. So after the information that we've reviewed and the discussions that you've had in your breakouts and all of the questions and answers, how are you now feeling about being ready to deliver hybrid instruction next week?
I feel worse. I went from a 5 to a 3.
And it's the more you know you don't know,
It's
right?
a lot.
The more you know.
But if you can go
It
to
definitely is
the-
not a reflection of your speaking ability or your presentation. Okay.
I won't take it personally. Heck, I've never done it before. So, you know.
Yeah, that was no reflection on you. It was just my brain that's,
That's funny. But if you can go to the activities link, the triangle, square, and circle, and go to polls and take the poll. We'll see if we've had any shift at all. And if we've had a shift down, that's fine too. But while we are waiting for people to vote on that poll, does anybody have anything they want to share from the time that they had with working or working in your breakout rooms? Does anybody want to share anything? You totally don't have to.
Nobody's in the 1, 2 now. So that's positive. Thank you, Brianna, for increasing some positivity there.
So before we look at the results of that, give everybody a chance to complete that poll. If you need more support, please feel free to reach out. On the bottom of this agenda here, you have you can email me or Yo, and you can also book with us our Calendly links. So if you would like to book a half-hour session with myself or Yo, you just click on that link and choose a time from our calendar, and it'll just book us. And we'd be happy to help. I see that there's also a research document posted from this as well. So let's take a look at our poll. Seems that everything else doesn't have lag, but Google Meet has lag when I'm trying to move around these things. Okay, so yeah, we've definitely seen some upward movement. We've have more votes in the 4s, and we have less votes in the 5, but that's totally fine because the more you know, the more you don't know. No, you don't know. Totally fine. But I see we don't have anybody in the 1s yet, so that's good. At least there's been some learning, even if it is learning that you don't know as much as you think. I won't take it personally, but we'll totally blame it on Yo.
Yeah, that's my fault. Yeah, so this week, I hope this created some space and time for you to exchange ideas. And like Anna Marie said, I'll be that person too. I want to go into the classroom and then do rehearsal run a little bit so they don't feel so much better after that. Right now, most of us is now ahead. It's tend to be more than it actually is. So I think after this spending time, go back to classroom. Just a rehearsal might be helpful for you. And I know you have awesome Geneva and Rob there and Gloria support. So reach out to them and us as well, and we do the best we can. And we learn so much from you as well throughout this PD. And I think Tracy is the one who mentioned about earlier, say case by case, each of us is doing different subject area and differently. It's really finding that spot where our teaching style and as we approach a new hybrid model, what's doable and and so forth. All righty.
And when it comes down to it, you have to take the wise words of Moira Rose and say, I'm ready for this. One must champion oneself and say, I'm ready for this. And I can't do it in her accent, whatever that accent is.
Thank
Because whether or not we're ready, it's here. So we just got to go forward and smile and, you know,
Make it
take
to
care of
you.
ourselves. Yeah, keep going, keep learning.
And then remember, the kids are coming back. Some kids are coming back, so exciting. So that is something to we really want to, you know, live with that excitement. So yeah, thank you for having us today.
For some reason I can't get the chat open. It's not responding to my clicks. So is there any questions in here I can't see? Oh, it's not responding.
Just a lot of thank yous.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so just to wrap everything up, thank you, Yo, thank you, Jen, thank you, Rob. It has been a quick turnaround, and you guys have really been there for us. So thank you for supporting us, and we hope that we can continue tapping into your knowledge and support. And remember that this isn't the last time. We'll do some touch bases here and there. You as the teachers and people in the classroom have, you know, that expertise, so we want to tap into it so we can bring you together. That would be great. So if you're open to it, I'll be sending out invites to bring us together and just troubleshoot, like, what's going on, how did it go, what do we need to fix, you know. So it won't be the last time we all come together and support each other, right? So okay, have a great lunch. If there's nothing else, I'll stay here in case there is, but thank you so much.
Bye. Please take care of yourself.